Welcome to HDFS command line interface. In this presentation, I will cover the general usage of the HDFS command line interface and commands specific to HDFS. Other commands that we will talk about should be familiar to anyone with Unix experience and will not be covered in detail. HDFS can be manipulated through Java APIs or through a command line interface. All commands for manipulating HDFS through Hadoop's command line interface begin with Hadoop, followed by a space, followed by the characters FS. This is the file system shell. This is followed by the command name as an argument to Hadoop space FS. These commands start with a dash. For example, the ls command for listing a directory, which is a common Unix command, is preceded with a dash. As on Unix systems, ls can take a path as an argument. In this example, the path is the current directory, represented by a single dot. So I have already started the various Hadoop components, and I want to just demonstrate quickly using the Hadoop file system shell. So we'll execute Hadoop fs dash, and we'll do a list of the current directory. And this is obviously the current directory in HDFS. Or if we want to pass in a different path, so this gives you a little bit of the concept of executing the Hadoop file shell. As we saw for the ls command, the file system shell can take paths as arguments. These paths can be expressed in the form of Uniform Resource Identifiers, or URIs. The URI format consists of a scheme, an authority, and a path. There are multiple schemes supported. The local file system has a scheme of file. HDFS has a scheme called HDFS. For example, let's say you wish to copy a file called myfile.txt from your local file system to an HDFS file system on localhost. You can do this by issuing the command shown. The CP command takes a URI for the source and the URI for the destination. The scheme and the authority do not always need to be specified. Instead, you may rely on their default values. These default values can be overridden by specifying them in a file named core-site.xml. This file is found in the conf directory of your Hadoop installation. So now let's do another example. And this time we will use the copy command and various schemas that we just talked about. So Hadoop fs dash cp, and I'm going to copy from my BIadmin home directory to HDFS. And let's see the results. And we can now see myfile.txt as having been uploaded to HDFS. HDFS supports many POSIX-like commands. HDFS is not fully POSIX compliant. The HDFS commands are most easily recognized Unix commands like cat and chmod. There are also a few commands that are specific to HDFS, such as copy from local. We'll examine a few of these specific commands. Copy from local and put are two HDFS specific commands that do the same thing. Copy files from the local file system to a location on another file system. Their opposite is the copy to local command, which can also be referred to as get. This command copies files out of the file system that you specify and into the local file system. Get merge is an enhanced form of get that can merge the files from multiple locations into a single local file. Setrep lets you override the default level of replication. You can do this for one file or with the -R option to an entire tree. This command returns immediately after requesting the new replication level. If you want the command to block until the job is done, pass the -W option. IBM with Big Insights provides the Big Insights console as a graphical way to work with HDFS. The Cluster tab provides a simple way to view the status of the Hadoop components. The Files tab gives you a graphical mechanism to create directories in HDFS, move data into and out of HDFS, delete files and directories, and so on. It's also possible to edit data directly from within the console. You have control over file permissions as well. You can change the ownership of files and how others are able to access those files. Even within the console, you have access to the Hadoop file system shell. You can execute commands in the same way that you can from the command line. Note that you still have to code the commands in the same way as we described doing so from the command line. And now I would like to quickly demonstrate the Big Insights console. Here we are on the Files tab. I'm going to expand out users. We can see BI admin as a user there. Here is myfile.txt that was uploaded in a previous demonstration. If I click on myfile.txt, I can see the data over here. If I want, I can even edit that data. Let's create a new directory. So we've now created a new directory. Let's upload myfile.txt to this new directory. We browse to locate it. It's under BI admin. We'll select myfile.txt. That gets added to the list. If I wanted to upload multiple files to this directory at one time, I could then just browse for those additional files and add them to my list here. When I have all of the files I want added to the list, I click OK. And now we can see that myfile.txt has been added to the new directory. We showed that we can modify and change permissions. And if I want to, I can actually come in and execute my own Hadoop shell command. And let's go ahead and And we have now deleted that file. If I do a refresh, we can see that the file no longer exists. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for watching. Here is a list of trademarks that might have been referenced in this presentation.